And we are back with another Savage stream. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We've got to kind of get going because this is going to be kind of fast paced. I'm not really great at talking fast, but I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. In this live stream, we are going to go through the setting up HiveOS on a bootable USB drive. We're going to boot the rig to it, set up some wallets or a wallet, flight sheet, monitoring, and maybe even some overclocking if we have time. We've got a whole lot to cover, so let's get to it. First off, I am going to, the rig that we're going to be using is the bottom one right there. It's Mustafar is the name of the rig. And that rig, I need to actually shut it down, so I'm going to do that. Let's do that first. Since we'll be using it for a few minutes. And this video assumes that you already have a rig built and you just want to run HiveOS on it and mine Ethereum. So that's pretty much the goal. If you want to learn how to build GPU mining rigs, I've got a playlist on my channel here that covers that. There's quite a few builds in here. Some of them are pretty old, but they're still applicable. I mean, I did a series back here a few years ago. Again, still applicable. Most of it, I still use this, method, I guess you could say, to build mining rigs. So still applicable over there. And this rig here, the Mustafar rig, is just a 8 GPU RX 580 rig. It's the ASRock Phantom Gaming X RX 580s, 8 of them. And that's what we'll be using. Pretty standard hardware, H110 Pro BTC Plus motherboard, a little USB drive, standard 8 gig memory. I think it's got a 4300 or 4400 processor, Celeron and all that stuff. So nothing too special, just the 8 GPUs, and then we're good. All right, so let's talk about HiveOS a little bit here. The actual billing. Let's talk about the billing real quick, because this is part of the confusion, like how much does it cost to actually run HiveOS and things like that. So I kind of wanted to cover this real quick. So they did come out with some changes. I think it was earlier this year or last year. Basically, they changed it to only pay for per 5 minutes and not per day. So it's broken down into a bunch of segments. So if your rig isn't on the whole day, you don't get charged just for connecting one time, right? Because there were people that were cycling their rigs on and off, and if they can only run them for, say, 12 hours a day or something, they were getting charged for the whole day, which that sucks. So they changed that. They also made it free for 4 rigs. It's kind of like you got to configure it in a certain way. And if you look over here at mine, I've got 4 rigs here, and look at my daily cost, free. It's because of how I've got this set up. I'm actually using these 2 rigs on Hiveon pool, right? And these 2 rigs are free because of these 2 rigs. This is kind of the way to look at it. So you can get 4 rigs for free, essentially, if you mine on the Hiveon pool, on their pool. All right, so that's one part of it. And then you also have 1 rig is always free. So if you just want to try out the OS, you can always do the 1 rig free. You can also pay for HiveOS on the pool, which is nice. You just set it that way. I'll show you that in a minute. And let's see here. Paid users will be able to pay for HiveOS at the expense. Yeah, 3% if you want to pay and not mine on Hiveon pool. Free users can continue to use HiveOS as long as they only have 1 rig. Free users who have 2 to 4 rigs, that's me, on HiveOS, can still use HiveOS for free in case they mine ETH or ETC on Hive Pool, and I'm actually doing both. So kind of cool the way that this is working out. for me. So you have two options. They talk about that here. This is how you can set up your farm initially. Whenever you first create your farm, you can actually, let me see if I can do this here. It's a choice over here for basically using Hiveon Pool to charge you to pay for the rigs, right? Instead of the $3 for each worker. So that's really convenient. It's the default whenever you create the farm. So that's a good thing. And what else we got? I couldn't find this setting. I don't know if maybe it's because I'm not paying or what, but this one, once the farm is created, I didn't see this in the farm settings anywhere. And they've got this little info card, I guess you could call it here. This is pretty good information. This is actually, I don't know if this is in the description, but I'll throw it over there just in case. Actually, I'll throw it in the chat. Let me do that. I think that'll still work. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, basically the easiest way to look at it, 1 rig is free, 2 to 4 is free with 2 of them on Hiveon. 5 or more are always going to be paid, and you're going to be paying for 5. So just like if you have 4 and you add a rig, you're not going to just be paying for that 1. If you have 4 free ones, you're going to be paying for 5. So it's $3 a month, $15 a month for 5 rigs. So that's the way that works. I like this. Attempts to cheat with the system will be billed to the full extent and can lead to the ban. All right. So anyway, that's in the chat over there. So you can reference that if you need to. All right. Very reasonable prices for an operating such as this. So I'm digging it. All right, so to start, you would go to hiveos.farm, and then here you can read all about it, figure out what it all does, what it's all about. But if you want to just get started, you would click on install here. But before you do that, if you haven't signed up already, you'll click sign in. You'll do, the verification, the registration. You'll have to have an email address in there and then verify it. I think that's all they make you do. There might be some 2FA stuff that you can do during that process as well. Not entirely sure because it's been a while since I've gone through that. But basically, hiveos.farm, click sign in here, and then it'll open up the registration process. I think this was, let me see here. Yeah, there was like a get started, start for free. Like if you click that, it's probably going to put me, yeah, see it, because I'm already signed in, it's going to throw me in there. So I can't really show you that screen easily right now. Not a big deal though. So what you'll do, once you get registered and you get to your, basically you'll get to your farm screen that looks like this, but there won't be any farms on it. You will just install, so we want to install the image on a USB drive. So that's what we're going to go through. So we're going to go, and this is a GPU mining rig, not an ASIC. So we're going to go GPU zip. I'll use the zip for this example. And then we're going to come down here and look at the version, right? So that's the latest version that you can actually download. Okay, like before that, or after that, there'll be some updates. So like if you look at the actual running farm here and go to, well, one of them, and go to a rig, you can see that the version right here is actually higher because it has downloaded some updates, right? So that's the way that works. The image out here is just the base image, basically, is the way to look at it. So what we'll do is I'm going to, let me bring up, just a second here. Just a second. All right, so I think we'll just go ahead and actually download it. Let's see how this works. We're going to download that, see how long it takes. Not too bad, okay, a couple minutes. I have it downloaded already. I could have made this a little bit faster, a little bit easier, but I figured I would go through it in real time here. So while that's going, I will check the chat out here. Chancoin, I think that isn't Simple Mining like $2? They switched to like S bucks or something. I don't know. They've got some kind of currency that they use over there. I think that it equals out to about $2, I believe, per rig for Simple Mining. But the thing is that I don't think that they have any free, right? So I think that if you have one rig over there, you're going to have to pay. I believe it's the way it works. It's been a while since I've used Simple Mining, so I could be wrong there, but all right, so we're getting the download here, and there's actually instructions for all this. I put a link in the description, I believe, how to image. Basically, let's see here. Yeah, if you scroll down on this page right here, it walks you through the whole process. But I'm going to walk you through it anyway, but it's all right here. And this might actually look a little bit more complicated than it is. I'm going to make it super simple because they give you some options in here that I don't know. I mean, I guess it's kind of cool, but it's not something. It kind of leads to a little bit more effort than you need, I guess. So I'm going to try to do it as simple as possible. All right, so that is downloaded. So now we have our image right here in a zip file. No need to extract it or anything like that. Then we are going to start Balena Etcher. And Balena Etcher, I believe, is what they use in here as well. Yeah, Etcher and then Rufus right here. They got two different ones. I'm going to be using Etcher. So I've already installed it and all that stuff. I'm not going to go through the install of that. And then what I'm going to be using is a 32 gig Samsung little USB drive. This is USB 3.0 or 3.1, 3.0, I believe. So it's going to be pretty fast, not like those verbatim store and goes. Those things are super slow. So this one should work pretty well. All right, so I'm going to select image. Okay, so this is like defaulting back to my original location. I'll just go to this one because this is the one that we just downloaded. I'm going to double click on that. Now select target. I'm going to insert the USB. You should hear it pop in there. All right. Now this one already has something on it. It's already got nice hash on it. So we're going to be getting rid of that. So select target. If there's only one external drive, then you won't see something like this. It'll just basically default to that drive. But I have an external hard drive attached here, so that's why it's coming up with this option here. So I'm going to select the Samsung flash drive, 32 gig, continue, and then flash. It'll come up like this. You say yes. And whenever you see this type of stuff, whenever you've got the drive in there, just always click cancel. Don't click format or anything like that. You can just keep clicking cancel to get out of all that mess. It's just Windows. If you've got a regular Windows desktop, it's just going to try to open the files by default and all that. So that's the way mine is set up. All right, so we are burning the image now. So now what we can do while we're waiting on that, we can go over to the HiveOS dashboard. We're going to go out here. Now I'm not going to use this farm. I'm going to use this farm over here. If you're just starting out, I think the name of the farm is like default or something. You can always change it. You just come in here and click. I think you have to actually go into it and then click settings. And then over here you can rename it. And I don't care that I'm showing you this farm hash right here because this is a farm that I don't use. Okay, so this is just for YouTube and that's it. All right. So we come over here to the farm. We're going to add a worker. We have to click the plus up here, add a worker. We'll call this Mustafar YouTube. All right. So that's the name of the rig. And not going to worry about tags or a description right now. We'll put miner as the password over here. And it is a GPU rig. So then we're going to click add. Now this is where I think the instructions on the page kind of has you do a bunch of different things, but here all you need to do is download the rig.conf file for this worker, throw it somewhere where you know. Now what I like to do is actually give it a name, like I'll say Mustafar, right, for the rig name, and then whenever I copy it, I'll show you. I'll actually do it the way I do it. It's almost like you get a little backup, built-in backup, so of that file specifically. Now what I also do is I save that file to another drive so that I have it to make things a little bit easier in the future if I like accidentally delete the rig and need to re-add it or whatever. It just makes things a little bit easier to have that specific rig.conf file for that rig. Yeah, Crafty2. I don't mean that there's nothing in that farm. I'm referring to the farms in HiveOS. That's it. It's not a big deal. It's just it's a logical thing, not a physical thing. And I'm with you on wishing I had more GPUs. Yeah, I've had several situations recently where I was trying to buy some, and like there was one where I think I was on, I don't know if it was Newegg or some other site. I think it might have been another site, but it was a legit site that you could get EVGA GPUs from. And I had them in the cart, you know, the standard old story that you hear, you know, I had them in the cart, and it was kind of an obscure site, so I was thinking that I was okay to just hang out and wait and, you know, kind of make a decision on whether or not I wanted to pull the trigger or not. And of course, a little bit of time passed and they were gone. So yeah, I mean, GPUs are just flying off the shelves right now. What's up, old Bitcephus? Yeah, we'd have to look at that troubleshooting there. For that specific problem. What's up, Ryan Flynn? Yeah, it was Crafty2. It was a legit site. It was just a little bit obscure, not one of the main retailers. And that's why I thought I just had a little bit of time, and I was wrong. I was really wrong. They were gone. So this is like real-time stuff, so you can see how long it actually takes. I like doing it this way, and doing it live like this is also a little bit, I think it helps because people kind of get the impression that this stuff doesn't take very long, or they think that it's super complicated whenever it's really not. So it's really good to walk through the whole entire process like in real time. Hey, what's up, Max? All right, so we have downloaded the rig.conf file. We've also burned the image. So before we eject that drive, I wonder what that is. Temp file for some reason. Before we eject that drive, and actually, you know what? You know what? I might have it set to where it actually ejects it. So this happens from time to time. Not actually from time to time. It depends on your settings in Balena Etcher. Or it might have been because I canceled out of those windows. But anyway, nonetheless, I have to remove the drive, reinsert the drive, and then it'll show up in here. So give me just a second here. So if you're done with it and it doesn't show up, just remove it, reinsert it, and you should be good. So there's our drive. All this stuff you want to cancel out of if it's popping up on yours. Okay, so they've got a rig config example. We don't need that because we have our config over here, right? That we just copied. or that we just downloaded from where we inserted when we created the worker in HiveOS. All right, so we got that. Let's see, I'm losing track. Oh yeah, we need to go here. So right click, paste, and then we need to change the name of it. Now what I do is I just copy it, paste it in again, so that way I have a copy of the original right there. And then I'll move that to, I can move it to like another storage like I was saying earlier. So you need this to say rig.conf. That's what your config file looks like. And I mean, we could go into that file, but it basically just has the same information on here. Okay, not a lot of config that you have to worry about. So to not get anybody confused, I'm just going to eject it. And let's see here, I thought, yeah, we'd have to do a flight sheet and all that. So what I'll do is, I'm going to slow down here. Let's do a flight sheet first, because it's kind of better to have something for this rig to do on its first boot rather than some default stuff. So the first thing so we're pretty much done with the USB. We're just going to take that to the rig, and you saw that I ejected that the right way. I like right clicked on it, eject, I believe. I think I remember doing that. Maybe I didn't, I don't know. Anyway, so we've got the USB drive here that has HiveOS on it, and it's all good. We've got the rig.conf file on there, so in a moment we're going to be booting the rig off of that, but not quite yet. All right, so the next thing that you need is an address. You got to be able to mine to an address, and in this case we're mining Ethereum. So I'm going to use the Zelcore wallet, my favorite wallet, and I'm going to add the Ethereum asset so that we can get the address. Now, in Zelcore, the addresses are the same, so I could actually go here to Ethereum Classic, and you'll see, I'll show you this, the address is going to be the same as this for Ethereum, okay? Doesn't matter, we'll go and add it anyway. So go back here, let's add assets. We're going to go ETH, Ethereum, and that's it. So now it's added. And then we go receive. You can see, I don't know if you remember the last four, it's the same address. Okay, so we're copying that address. So we have that on our clipboard, stored in memory, waiting on us to do something with it. So what we need to do is actually, see if we can do it in here. Yeah, create a wallet. So I'm just clicking on, basically it's walking you through what we need to do. Need to create a wallet first. We're going to choose Ethereum, paste the address in there, good to go. We're going to go Mustafar YouTube for the wallet name. I like to put like the actual currency that's for, so we'll put ETH on there. Because we're going to use Hiveon pool, I think we can do fetch wallet balance. So that'll give us some more data as we're looking at our rig in HiveOS. And then we're going to click create. So now we got our wallet created. Okay, so now we need to do a flight sheet. So we're going to go to the flight sheets, choose Ethereum. The wallet is the one that we just created. The pool, we're going to use Hiveon pool because we want to be free. I'm going to use Europe and North America. Actually, let's do it like this. So this one's first. And then apply. And then the miner, I'm going to use Phoenix Miner. And then because this pool is already in here and it is HiveOS, a lot of the configuration for the miner is already going to be in there. So you can see here, settings already in there, so it looks pretty good. You can see that they're using 5.4C. And then we got to name it. So we're going to name it Mustafar YouTube ETH. Sounds good to me. And then create the flight sheet. So now our workers, we need to assign that flight sheet to the worker. So we're going to go back to worker. Put a check mark there. There's a couple of different ways you could do it. This is the way I do it. Check mark there. Flight sheet. Up here, the rocket. Now in this case, we only have one, so it's super easy. But we're going to choose the flight sheet that we just created for Ethereum and then apply. So now, whenever we boot this rig up, initially it should be all set up and mining and all that stuff. Now, what we also want to do though is do and you see how that came in with, because of the Hiveon pool, and it basically monitors your payout here, which is super cool, super efficient. We're going to go to overclocking templates. Have this, that's old. That's the old name. Let's change this to far. All right, in the default config, we can either, I think you can just edit it here. This is an AMD rig. Let's see, what can we do? We would do, let's just put some default values in here. I think that's the one that we go 1. Was this 20? I'll go a little bit low on some of this. I like this one to be, at least initially. We'll go that, and then I go 20 on the refresh rate. That's just kind of like some default stuff there. So we're going to plug that in there so that it gets some OC whenever it first fires up. Okay, so I think that we are ready to actually turn this rig on. So it's already off. You can see it off at the bottom there. All right. Looks like it's going. And the first time it boots up, it will take a little bit longer than normal because it's going to be downloading updates and things like that. So it does take, although we did just burn a new image, so there shouldn't be too much of an update that it'll need. All right, so it just popped in over here. You can see 8 GPUs here, 1 worker. So far, so good here. We are going to go ahead and turn on auto fan too. That's one thing I always forget. And it'll start running super hot really quick. So we're going to leave all the defaults in here. So that looks good to me. And then you can see right here how it needs an update, right? So that's okay. We might do that in a little bit. But first, let's get to mining. I was trying to do this in 30 minutes, but it looks like I'm going to fail because I ran my mouth too much. Let's see here. I don't know if anyone else is going live. Let me know if there's one of the other group here that's going live, like Red Panda. I see you're in here. Are you doing something tonight? Or DCA Adventure or any of those guys? Let me know if they are planning on doing something tonight and when, so I know how long I have here. All right, so that's super hot. Let's see. That is way more than it should. I think maybe I'm going to, let me restart this, because you know what probably happened is it doesn't have the overclock settings yet. So most likely that's what it, yeah, that's what it is. Let's just do it this way. So another cool thing that they've got here is popular presets. So if you come into, if you go into your overclock settings, don't worry, it's restarting. Don't worry, guys. At least I think it is. It says it's rebooting. Let's look at it over here. Yeah, it is. Okay. So that's old information here. All right, so let's go over here and throw some overclocks in here. So if you go to the overclock for the whole rig, they're all identical GPUs, so it makes sense that you would probably be able to apply the same overclocks to all of them. I'm going to come over here, go to ETH, and then AMD's are already selected, RX 580, 8 gig. So then you can just, right here is some default. I like to go a little bit lower than that, so I'm going to go right here. This one is probably the one that I will use. So once you select that, it kind of puts the value over here to the right, so you can just zip right through it, add in what it says to. I'm going to throw it like this, save. All right, so super hot again. It already booted back up, but that's okay. Hopefully we will get that down pretty quick here. All right. I've got the auto refresh timer set on 30 seconds. You can click that up here and set it to whatever. I've got it set pretty frequently. You can always, you know, refresh the page too, right? I probably have to play around with these overclock. I'm probably missing something in there that I need. Let's see here. Let me go look at. Yeah, see, I've got these pretty far down, actually. Kind of in the efficiency zone there. Oh, I got the onboard graphics on this rig. I didn't know I had that enabled. Huh. I'll have to fix that. All right, so let's go back over here. I think that's the one that'll probably get me down. Let's do this too. I'm gonna go, I'm just trying to make it a little bit cooler here. All right, kind of getting off track, but anyway, so you see it's kind of coming down. All right, let's go ahead and keep rolling here. So another cool thing about HiveOS that you can do here is, and this is from HashRaptor, I saw this on one of his videos. Basically, you know, you can come up here if you want to get into the rig remotely. You can come up to remote access, right, and then go Hive shell start, or you can just click on your IP address right here. So if you click on that, it brings up the shell in a box, and then remember the default user name, login name is user, password is 1. And then this is how you can see your screen super easy. Just type in miner, and then off you go. So now you're able to monitor it just like you were sitting at the screen, you know, right there at the rig itself. Now it's not running that, you know, I would have to go over there and punch into the keyboard that's attached to that monitor, you know, miner, and then let it run over there. This is just a remote session, so it's separate. If that makes sense. All right, so that's cool. All right, we are now mining. Now, what we should see in HiveOS over here is a little bit more information. So you got payout here. Now, I think that probably there's some things that we're not going to get. I don't know if maybe, let's see, I'm trying to think of what all we would see. I guess this is it. I guess this is all we would see right here. So if you were getting a payout, I mean, we want to also see the pool. We're going to see the pool in a minute, like the stats on the pool. So you can see how this is a hyperlink right here. So you can just click on that, and probably not going to get any information because obviously we just started mining, so not a big deal. But you've got the view on Hive pool right here, Hive on pool. So if you click on that, now you've got, this is hiveon.net. I believe that link is in the description as well. But it is showing you, this is just default, anyone can get to this, not a big deal. But what you want to do is you want to plug in your Ethereum miner address here to get data for your miner. So this is like checking things on the pool side, right? Like you do with a normal situation. So we're going to go and grab our address again. Might have still been on the clipboard, but that's okay. Paste it in there, click explore, and then you can see reported hash rate right here. Not a lot of data because, again, we just started mining, but you can see your hash rate right here, reported. You can see that the worker's working, and then obviously over time, you know, this builds and it looks super nice, like this right here, right? Yeah, like you'll get this, and then actually I think I got my other address. Hang on a second. So after some time passes, it'll look something like this, right? So you'll get a nice graph and figure out what's what, and be able to, you know, look at history and all that stuff. Shares, invalid shares, stale shares, reported, how much you've been paid out, all that cool stuff. All right, so that's how you check it on the pool side. Hiveon.net is the pool side, and then you would just plug in your mining address, and that's it. All right, so I'm gonna check the chat here. What's up, everybody? Ryan Flynn, make sure you're using the latest wallet because they've had a couple of updates recently, especially since December 18th, whenever they forked. So yeah, you definitely need the latest wallet if you don't have it. Yeah, this is pay per share. Some people like that. I think that, I don't know which one. I want to say that the pay per share kind of would allow hopping, right? PPLN doesn't allow pool hopping. In my case, I'm an ethical dude, so I don't worry about that too much. I think I'm good on here. All right, so let's see, what else can we show about HiveOS? So if you have, this is kind of cool too. If you have, let's see, where do I need to be? I'm in the wrong spot. All right, let's go over here. So in your dashboard here, if you click on settings, and scroll down here a little bit, you can actually set your electricity price if you know what it is. Now the average is 10 cents in the United States anyway. Mine, I know through calculations that it's 10.3 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's why it looks like that. Just make sure that if you do add this, like, you can't put it in there like that. Okay, you can't just put a dot. and then the number, you have to actually put 0 for that to work. All right, and then 0 dot, unless you're paying more than $1, which would suck. All right, so you can do hardware power consumption if you know what the wattage is for that rig. Actually, yeah, this is workers, so I think that like you could throw in 100 watts or something like that if you know that that's like your average. And then power supply efficiency, so if you have like all 90% efficient PSUs, you could plug that in there, and it just, what this does is it actually helps you calculate your daily cost. So once that data is in there, you can mouse over. I don't think it'll happen before. I think before you put that in there, if you tried to mouse over this, nothing would happen. I didn't verify that before we did it, but once you mouse over it, you can see that it actually shows you your daily cost, right? So that's kind of neat. There's also if you look at this screen right here, now this is Mustafar. Let's see, is this on? How did this work? Because this is showing more than I thought, so I don't know if. Yeah, okay, so once you're in this screen, you can actually press, with Phoenix Miner, you can press S, and it'll show you some additional information. You can see down here, like pool side information, average speed. So if you're ever just wondering that kind of stuff while you're looking at the miner screen, just press S and it'll come up. All right. All right, I think, man, we've pretty much gone through everything. We went all the way from not having an OS on the rig, installing HiveOS, or imaging it to the USB, modifying the rig.conf file, getting that file onto the USB, booting the rig from it. We created a wallet, created a flight sheet. We assigned the flight sheet to the rig, and then we started mining, right? Rebooted one time because it was overheating. And so some things that you need to remember is your overclocks. The first time, if you just fire up the rig and don't give it anything, it's just going to run out of control, right? It's going to run super hot, typically, at least my rigs do, until it gets that overclock setting. You know, you have to get that applied to the rig, make sure it's applied. So whenever you go into the dashboard here, go into the rig itself, you know, you want to see your overclock settings over here. If you see a bunch of blanks or just dashes, then that's not good. So it's going to probably be super high hash rate, you know, 32 mega hash for RX 580, but your temperatures are going to be probably out of control like you saw mine. Now it's still a little warm. I got the door shut. It's kind of warm, but yeah, just keep that in mind. And then if you wanted to do an upgrade, you can, whenever you see this arrow up here and whenever you see this highlighted in orange, you can just click that. It tells you what all the new features are, what's going on with the update, and then I'll just click upgrade, and you'll see the process here. And yeah, they do have a 0.1 ETH payout for ETH still, which is a lot. At this point, it's a lot. Yeah, I know you can turn the logs off with a USB, because if you have the logs on with the USB, depending on the USB, it can wear it out, because it's not really designed for constant reading and actually constant writing to it. So you can do that in the miner settings, I believe. And if you wanted to see what your miner settings are, I think I have to wait on this to finish here before I can actually do anything else. does look like it's up. Yeah, see it says successful here, so that's good. Okay, so now the arrow's gone. This is the latest version. We're good. And if you click on the little pickaxe up here and go miner config, it'll run miner config and you'll be able to see what the settings that are applied to your rig are. So this is another cool thing over here. It's showing you the hash rate on the pool. This is local, this is on the pool. So that's another thing, another benefit of mining on Hiveon pool because of that. So once this is up here like this, you can click it and then you will know what your config is. This is using a config file. So yeah, like you could, this is a log file. Honestly, I've left this on and it's not a big deal, although I have had some USBs go bad after a while, but it takes quite a while. Log files are important, so it is one of those things like if you're really concerned about the log file, what I would do is use a SSD and not a USB, in my opinion, because log files can be super handy in figuring out what's going on. Now, I think that I want to say I would have to test this, but I think that in HiveOS with Phoenix Miner, like if you get an error like where the Phoenix Miner actually crashes, it'll show you right here. It'll be a red Phoenix. It'll say Phoenix error or Phoenix worker stopped or something like that. And you click on it and you'll see like the last 50 lines of the log file, which is super important because, you know, normally if something goes wrong, it'll be, you know, right at the end of the log file or towards the end of the log file. So I don't know if that works if you don't have log files enabled like that. I don't see how it would. So anyway, long story short, I like to leave it enabled, but if I run into problems, then, you know, we could turn that off for sure. All right, let's see what else we got. What else? I actually think that we are pretty good here. Yeah, and SSD, you're right, Swamp 7. SSDs are way more stable. I've talked about this before. The reason that I use USBs is because of this channel and doing all the different loads and different OSs and different configs and all that stuff. And I'm imaging these things all the time. So that's why I use USB, because it would be a nightmare to try to do SSD. Although if you've got like a USB SSD adapter, right? So I actually have one. I thought about actually doing that, like going through an SSD install and actually using the SSD on a rig. That would be kind of cool. That might be something I'll do in the future. But yep, that is going to do it. I think I'm done. This has long. This has gone on longer than I wanted it to. 40 minutes, but that's okay. We covered a lot. That was pretty solid. And I don't know if anybody said if anybody else was going live or not. So I'm just going to end it here then. Thanks everybody for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. You guys know I do. So that is it, my friends. If you want to be kept up to date on crypto mining topics, please be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on anything. And if you want, let's keep the conversation going down below in the comments. And let me know what you think about the crypto mining landscape for, you know, Ethereum right now, and whether or not these crazy Ethereum mining profits that we're seeing right now are going to hold up for a while. Because, I mean, you can't get GPUs, or at least I can't. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. But anyway, yeah, all GPUs are going to be sold out for a while. All right, guys, that is it. Stay savage, everybody.